I'm Alex Moore with That Nerd Show, and we are moving right along with the Oak Cliff Film Festival here at 2016, and we are now talking about a short film known as Middle Witch. And I'm sitting here with director and writer Amanda Gotera and producer Natalie Shea. So, first things first, tell us about the idea behind this story, Middle Witch.
Amanda?
Middle Witch is it's a coming-of-age film about a teenage girl who has magic powers and ends up having to go out into a huge abandoned lot full of dangerous animals and magical creatures to save her younger sister. And it comes out of a real craving for adventure fantasies like Never-Ending Story and Return to Oz and Labyrinth that represent the voices of girls of color instead of young white boys.
Okay. And what drew you into this film on the production side exactly?
So I actually, I met Amanda. She was my teacher at the University of Texas, and it was one of my first film classes, and I was just really inspired by her style. At that point, I guess it was just her teaching style, but I don't know, I just it was just one of those things you just know instantly. I was just like, ooh, I want to work for her, and so, I dropped several hints, and then a year or so later when Amanda was starting pre-production, she offered the position to me, and I took it up.
Took the bait.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, just getting into a little bit more about the story, we have mystical creatures such as a giant bird. That's all I have in my notes, but I'm just curious about how you go about creating this in a short film exactly. Is there a process with limited budget and going about being creative, and what were you able to come up with there?
Well, it was really central to the ethos of the film to have very practical elements. We worked with puppets and animatronic creatures. We didn't want to have very many digital elements put in post. Just because I've always felt like that gives a story with magic in it a lot of heart.
Yes.
And so in order to do that kind of work costs quite a lot. So we were really lucky to have the support of the Princess Grace Foundation USA, which supports young artists. And we also had a grant through the Austin Film Society. And we launched and really pushed very hard a very successful Kickstarter campaign. So the film was very much a community effort. And when we had that funding in place, it meant that we could really push all of the different story pieces together in a way that was fitting for the story. So we have our giant bird, which was actually 3 different puppets of different scales and different amounts of details for different kinds of shots. We had a giant fish that eats a giant egg that glows, and we had a giant nest that is carried around on the back of a concrete crab that comes out of the ground.
We basically got a zoo.
Yeah.
All right.
We have a whole menagerie.
Yeah.
That sounds like some very inventive ideas. So, beyond just those movies that you mentioned earlier, were there some other stories that from your past or currently that you have affinity towards that led to some of these ideas?
Yeah, I mean, the movie Aliens was a huge touchstone because it's about women protecting each other, and it's about motherhood and eggs specifically. And our film centers on a stolen egg, and about rescuing a girl, and that was really important. But also, the film is inspired by a lot of old folk tales that have their own narrative logic to them.
Great. And from the production side, did you find that it was easy to work with her just as it was when you had her as a teacher, or was it sort of a different relationship this time around?
It was so, it was difficult not because it, taking on all those practical effects, it's a huge feat. It's almost, I feel like it's the previous film that I did, we shot on film, and that seemed like for that film was the big hurdle that we had to overcome. And for this, it was just all the practical effects, but it was so worth it in the end because I feel like it adds so much to the film. It's integral to the story. But working with Amanda was amazing. She's
Yeah.
like a dream to work with.
And Natalie's a tremendous producer, and she, along with her co-producer Kelly Oda, were just an amazing support team.
There was a lot of open communication.
A lot of coffee.
Well, there's no shortage of interest in mystical stories, and with the good symbolism, I'm sure that a lot of people will enjoy this. Because we are That Nerd Show, we have one question that we are asking everybody for these interviews all year round. Because Star Wars and Star Trek are so big right now, we want to ask everybody, if you could be involved in either or, which one would you be involved in, and why?
Oh wait, which
Star Trek or Star Wars?
Sorry.
Sorry.
You go first.
I want to be involved in a television reboot. It's not a reboot of an original series, but I want to be involved in bringing part of the Star Trek world back onto television. I think my favorite thing about I love both Star Wars and Star Trek, but the thing I loved about Star Trek on television was that it was about exploration, and it was about teams of people working together. And I have a lot of love for characters like Captain Janeway, and I think space is a great environment for stories about women and people of color, and we need more of that. So definitely Star Trek, definitely TV.
All right.
Well, I don't know either of them super well. But I mean, I'm more of a Lord of the Rings gal myself. But I guess I'd pick Star Wars, but that's just because I'm more familiar with it. I'm not really familiar with Star Trek. Not because I don't want to be.
Right, yes.
I haven't gotten to...
We'll work on it.
Yeah. We should, it's something.
It's a community project.
Lord of the Rings, nothing wrong with Lord of the Rings either, of course. We don't mind having a few wild cards in the mix.
Well, then I would work on Lord of the Rings.
All right.